I've got a message saying that we're streaming live, and we didn't have that message before, so I'm wondering if we should start from the beginning.
I think we're okay, but let me get back to, all right, there we are. Now let's just get back to Zoom for a moment. Here we are. All right, so I think we're live again. And I think it did start already. I'm not sure, but anyway, Rosemarie, it's absolutely wonderful to be with you. And we were just engaging in a conversation about the kind of this correspondence between life planning and a golden civilization, which you've now read, you've thought a great deal about, and you've thought about the conversation of life planning as being the conversation of a golden civilization. And I'm not sure everybody who's listening or watching will know what that conversation is. So I wonder if you could describe it. How is it that it frees people? And how is it that it could free people both in the world of civilization, but also in life planning?
Well, I'll take it from the point of view of a financial life planner, and then we can expand. I mean, the conversation is a process that you've taught us called Evoke, and the process involves exercises, questions that we ask the client about, how their life would be different, or how would it change? How would it be if they had no financial restrictions? First of all, how would that be? And then second question is about, the unfortunate situation of having a shortened life expectancy, and, what that means now to your life if you only had 5 to 10 years left to live. And then the third question in the process is, imagine you only had 24 hours left to live. As you reflect on your life, what did you miss? And who didn't you get to be, and what didn't you get to do? So what those questions do is they put the person into, instead of it being in their mind, that thinking energy, it's in their hearts. I find that it's a very open-hearted, very deep and personal conversation that we start with first about what really matters the most to them. And then from there, we develop a timeline where we take what's most important to them and, deliver it in priority of when they want it and when they need it. And what results is a person who is now aligned with what's most important to them, and they're living their life every day with purpose and meaning and focus and presence. And I think it ultimately delivers a better life experience for them and everyone that they work with, whether it's their colleagues or their family, of course. It's an amazing process. And now, if we were to take that and expand on it globally with everyone in the world, starting with leaders and institutions and everyone that's basically leading and guiding our world, my goodness, what a better world it would be if everyone was aligned with their true purpose and bringing that to everyone.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. So, well, that's very powerful, very powerfully said. And certainly what we believe in as we're unfolding what a golden civilization might look like and how we might actually make it happen. So, and I'm curious, you just finished the reading of the book, I believe. You've been talking with me at various times about how to craft that golden civilization conversation with groups of people. And I'm wondering, as you finished the book, how did you feel, and what's connected for you?
Well, I was excited. I was inspired. The words that come up for me is inspiration, hopeful, and it made me feel like, instead of this being something that, imagine, few generations from now or 1,000 years from now, this global, this golden civilization. And I thought to myself, gosh darn it, I want this now. I I don't want to wait. I want this to happen now, or to at least, begin to see progress. Lisa Kirchenbauer always says, progress, not perfection. And so, I'm not expecting perfection, but gosh, seeing some progress would be really exciting. I don't want to let, I'm in my 50s now, and I think ahead to my future, and I don't want the next 30 years of my life to be watching, the decline of our civilization. I want the opposite. I want to see us expand and grow and align and, and just get better. And I loved your book because it felt to me like it's, you're going to laugh, but it felt like the owner's manual to planet Earth. It's so well laid out in everything. It touches on politics, government, education, all of our institutions. It touches on everything. And what I love about it is that there's an action plan. We're really good at talking about what's wrong with the world and all the problems of the world. We're really good at talking about what's wrong. And whenever those conversations start happening around me, I try to guide them in a positive direction and say, yeah, but how could we make that better? How could we change that? What would have to happen? Because I can only listen to the problem for so long. I am a problem solver by nature. So how can we fix this? How can we make it better? That's the kind of conversations that I want to have with people. That's what excites me, and that's what we need more of, is getting excited about how to make it better. So with the book as your guide, it's easy to delve into it. It's not going to be something that you just read once and then it's like, oh, that was great. It's something that I'm going to be diving into over and over when I want to reference. If I come across a situation in leadership or in, institutions, or, in the financial aspect of my world, that I can reflect back on it and say, okay, well, what did George say? Let's look back and have some reference. And so I think it's great material for anyone who is in a leadership situation and wants to bring, you talk about, needing knowledge, wisdom, consciousness, integrity in our leadership and in our institutions. And if we had that, especially talking about consciousness and just having that higher level of being, that people are coming from their hearts when they're making decisions, and, even having the ideal of do no harm. It's so easy. Just, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your product or your service or whatever it is that you're doing, just do it without doing any harm. How would just that change things, Wow. And I think you've really presented the way that we can do it by identifying where we are doing harm and where we can deliver the opposite of that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Gosh, thank you so much, Rosemarie, for saying all that and putting all that together. As I was reminded early on, as you were talking about how our normal conversations with people about the state of affairs in the world are filled with, we talk about it endlessly, but we don't talk about how do we do something about it. And I don't know, you'll recognize this immediately from the 7 stages of money maturity work that we did. That was our first real engagement together. That when we talk about vigor and vitality, we talk about the opposite of that is filled with resentment, blame, and complaint. And so often we find ourselves in a kind of powerless position in regard to politics, in particular, in regard to all, but in regard to, you mentioned healthcare and education, in regard to all of the kind of the institutions of power, we feel very weak in relation to them. And as if we, even though we've got a democracy, as if we don't have a voice. And what we've done in life planning, and I think you described that in the evoke process, is we give people a voice first in their own lives to say, no, you don't need to be a victim anymore. You can actually deliver, and I can help you do that. You can deliver the life that you have always imagined living the truth, living it with integrity, living with vitality, regardless of where on the economic scheme of things you are.
Mhm.
Whether you're quite close to poverty or whether you've got a lot of resources, you can live with vitality instead of complaint and resentment and blame. So lovely to hear your inspiration there. Anything else you can think of? What were the most unusual things that came out of the book for you? What were the surprises? Clearly, one of the surprises was we can do this now. It's
Yeah.
time to do this now.
Yeah.
Anything else that you can think of, or anything about that you'd like to?
Well, again, it is so simple. It's so simple, and I believe it's deliverable now. We have the resources. The world is abundant. It's an abundant place. We have the resources if we're able to now root them for the betterment of humanity, as opposed to funding war. There's one area where a lot of the resources go, but there is so much abundance available, and it's about putting humanity and our earth first. It just starts with that. It's very simple. So if you're an institution and you say, okay, I want my legacy to be, if today was my last day and I look back, I want my legacy to be, how did I make the world a better place? What did I contribute to that, rather than how much money did I build and accumulate and hoard and become one of those top 42 that you talk about. Those are areas that jumped out for me, is when you talk about the top 42 wealthiest entities in the world that have half of the world's wealth. My goodness, if we were able to talk to them and had a golden conversation with them, could we shift things quickly, very quickly? I think we could, so it's not just a bottom up approach individually, but we can really change things quickly if we can have a top down approach as well. And if it's okay, I'd like to read actually one of the areas that you say about what you would do if you were a leader, right? And you said, I am the head of the UN, or the president of one of the most powerful democracies in the world, or the head of an influential nonprofit, or the CEO of a global media empire. I intend to dedicate every moment of my life to inspire humanity to achieve its most glorious mission, the establishment of a golden civilization and democracy across the globe, preservation of Mother Earth, and an end to war in this generation. Wow.
That was
It's so simple.
brings a tear to my eye. It's time, isn't it? I mean, that was a section in the book about ending war, that it's just time to do it. It's just ridiculous that we continue to have it. It's ridiculous that we continue to have corruption. There's no, I studied economics at Harvard, and there is no reason for corruption at all that I'm aware of in economic thinking. It doesn't add anything to our lives. So it's time to end it. And what's astonishing to me, here you and I are talking. Where are you right now, Rosemarie?
I'm in Canada.
Where in Canada?
I'm in Guelph, Ontario, Canada.
And that's kind of halfway over kind of the Canadian
the expansion of our country.
Yeah,
We're sort of middle. Yeah.
And I'm in London right now. I mean,
oh, cool.
Yeah, and here we are talking, all over the world, and we can do it, and we can have an impact, and people are listening from all over the world. So it's time for us to come together. We all agree. Everybody agrees. There's no need for corruption. There's no need for war. It's time for democratic freedoms, so why not put together the mechanism, which you and I think of as Evoke, this process that starts with what is all of our vision. And I don't know anybody that has a vision of a golden civilization that's filled with war or filled with corruption. It just doesn't happen. People, when they're asked what their vision is, it's filled with kindness, and it's filled with creativity, and it's filled with vitality, and it's filled with all the freedoms that we've accumulated and more. So it's time for it to happen. Wonderful to talk with you. Any final words you'd like to share about all of this?
Well, I truly believe that it is really what people want. And, I know that as a child of the 60s, it's 50th anniversary of Woodstock, can't believe 1969 was 50 years ago. And, our generation, everyone between my mom's age and my age, the baby boomers, right? We've been all about that. We've been all about peace and love and, wanting a better world. It's in our music, it's in our culture. And so now it's time to deliver and really make it happen. We're in a place now of an age where, we're not the young kids and, these, the young people that a bunch of hippies, they don't know what they, they don't know what they're talking about. But we're in a place now where, again, I look at my clients who I've worked at delivering financial independence to them. So there's a group of people now that are not having to work, that they are financially free. And now this next part of their life gets to be whatever they want it to be. So, our baby boomer generation can be leaders now. And again, have that consciousness and have that light seep into every area, whatever resonates with them. If it's, again, if it's healthcare, if it's education, if it's, the political platform, whatever it is. Marianne Williamson last night did an amazing talk on the what was it? A Course in Miracles. And, she wrote the book, Return to Love. And it filled my heart so much knowing that here's someone who has that level of knowing and consciousness and wisdom and is bringing that into the world from a political place. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact is that it's getting out there. And I think we're going to be able to deliver that as well through the work that we're doing. And I'm so excited and so very grateful that you wrote this book. And I really am going to allow it to be a sort of, again, an owner's manual that I can refer back to, in every aspect as I encounter it. And how can I evoke, a better situation? How can I bring about a change in a positive way, in a positive direction?
Beautiful, beautiful, Rosemarie. Now, two more thoughts have come up as you've talked, and one of them is that it sounds like those people that you've brought to an experience of freedom in their lives and of financial freedom, it sounds like they might be ripe for a golden civilization conversation somehow. So I want to just put that out there. But the other thought I have is, ever since I met you, you surprised me with your connection with rock and roll. And so wonderful for you to bring Woodstock in. And I'm wondering if there's a tune or a song that comes to mind around all of this at all, that you might send us away with.
Well, there's a couple. I think everyone that knows me knows that my theme song is Imagine from John Lennon, for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
Wow.
That's a big one, and it's very important in my life. He laid out the vision right there, and so let's make it happen. And recently, one of my life planning colleagues, and his name is Morgan Ranstrom, he wrote a beautiful song called "We Can't Wait Till Tomorrow,"
Wow.
and when we have today. And that's my current, playing in the back of my mind in my mental radio station. And it's such a great song. We can't wait for tomorrow. When we have today, we can do this. We can do this now.
Wow.
We can make it happen.
Wow, fantastic. Now, I saw a little bit on Facebook Live with you communicating around that. Is that on the website as well, a link to the song?
It is. If you go to the post about Morgan, I put the YouTube link to his song, so you can listen to it, and it connects with all the other beautiful songs on his album too. But that's the one that really resonated with me.
Fantastic, and we all know Imagine, and we're deeply in debt. Just the first few lines of Imagine. Imagine there's
no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people. living life in peace. I think that's how it goes. You're putting me on the spot, but yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful.
imagine. Yeah.
Imagine, again, tears in my eyes. That's
Mhm.
what a debt we owe to that man, and to the whole musical tradition that he came out of and the great community that he created at that time. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rosemarie McKinnon. This has been
Thank you so
great.
much,
A lot of
Jinder.
fun. All right. God bless. Thank you so much. Much
Thank
aloha.
you. Thank you.
Good. Bye.
Bye.